A bizarro new world, an old farty favorite, and a hero rises. It was another fun week in Star Wars, but who or what is at the top of the Star Wars world? Hello, you lovelies. I'm Napzok, and it's time for your weekly Star Wars Power Rankings. This is ForceCenter, a show about Star Wars pop culture and the ultimate adventure, life itself, featuring the insights of Joseph Scrimshaw, Jen Landa, and myself. Subscribe now to join our celebration of the greatest saga ever told. To the rankings we go. Number 3, Slapball. We learned a lot about Skeleton Crew superstar Neel this week, and he took some giant steps forward as a young blue, as a young thing, a young blue man. But one of the best things we learned was this overall-wearing, mom probably parted his hair, shy kid is good at slapball. What is slapball? I don't know. You slap balls around, but not like you're in a football locker room swimming in repressed emotions. It's a fun school-time sport, and Neel is good at it. I'm a big Star Wars nerd, have been since that title carried with it inherent social danger, but I'm also a big sports fan, so I love when these two things combine in Star Wars. Other than pod racing, and for the love of God, where's my detailed, exhaustive, franchise mode style pod racing video game? How many years do I have to scream for this? Anyways, other than pod racing, space sports have never been front and center in the saga like some other franchises. You know, the one with wizards and wands and a creator that doesn't seem to understand the very ethos of stories are built upon. That one. But sports have been present in Star Wars. Walk into the Outlander Club on Coruscant and you'll be treated to many telescreens full of sports coverage. Want to play some bets on Uniball? That's the place you go. We've had sky skimming, Nerf throwing, repulsor puck, grab ball, and the High Republic has given us Wicket Ball, which has nothing to do with the team using Wicket W. Warwick as a football. Trust me, I know. I love all the references and games we'll never learn more of, and throw Slapball into that list, high on the list, with a bullet. Right now, I don't need to know more about Slapball. I just need to know that it's played on AT-AT. And it might not even be a sport in the bigger sense. It might just be a game the school kids on that creepy yet calm planet created on the playground. And Neel is good at it. But if we get an entire episode dedicated to the game, I'd be a happy Slapball fan. Number 2, Eopies. This week saw everyone's favorite prequel-era Beast of Burdens return to the spotlight after the new crew of the Onyx Sender found themselves on the war-torn planet of Akron, where stealing a herd of Eopies is worth continuing a deadly generational fight over. Oh, and apologies to all my shack butt enthusiasts out there. The bulbous grass grazers on Naboo are glorious and a close second to Eopies. But the Eopies have a special place in Star Wars, in that they are both loved and appreciated by fans, and involved in one particular scene from The Phantom Menace that is often the one scene used by some fans to exemplify what's wrong with the prequels. That, of course, being the grandeur of the pod race opening ceremonies being interrupted by one P-Usa Eopie. And that's not my favorite scene in Star Wars either. My favorite scene in Star Wars is an Ewok saying, "That guy's wise," in perfect English, while 15-year-old Denis Villeneuve and his friends throw poutine-covered French fries at the screen. But I digress. We should never take for granted when something from the prequels is brought forward in the saga. The N1 Starfighter becoming Din Djarin's middle-aged Crazies-era sports car, a battle droid popping up to ask if they won, or Jar Jar Binks rescuing Grogu as Kylo Ren Beck dives to ensure their safety. Sorry, that has not happened yet. It's only a dream Joseph Scrimshaw, Jennifer Landa, and myself collectively have every night of our Force Center lives. There was a time when the prequels were taboo. You didn't mention them. You kept them out of your mouths. You didn't officially recognize them at Star Wars Celebration 2015, and you definitely didn't say you liked them, or even parts of them, like the designs of the ships, a fully realized Coruscant, the entire planet is one big city, or the glorious creature design. Did I need an Eopie to vindictively fart into the face of a Gungan? No, I didn't. But I also didn't need the Sarlacc pit to burp after it swallowed Boba Fett whole, but that didn't stop me from quoting the Sarlacc pit every day from May of 1983 to at least the fall of 1997. My point is this: the Eopies were a wonderful addition to the pantheon of Star Wars creatures. It was brand new and unique, something we hadn't seen on Tatooine before, yet it felt like they'd been there the entire time, as if you could imagine young Biggs and Luke riding one into Anchorhead just to impress their friends. Except Fixer. Dude was unfazed. Now, Eopies have been used several times since Obi-Wan Kenobi used one to deliver baby Luke to his new family. The Clone Wars used them. They've appeared in books, comics, they can be seen running around video games. And the Obi-Wan Kenobi series gave us old Ben's Eopian best friend for at least a few years, Akani. And I celebrated those Eopies then just as much as I celebrate the appearance of these magnificent horned Eopies in the Skeleton Crew this week. Thanks for designing them, Doug Chang. Score another win for the prequels. Number 1, kindness. Yes, kindness, the quality, a softness that shows strength, a way to describe someone's very heart. Look, when I started this segment, I thought it'd be a fun way to discuss trending Star Wars news items, celebrate characters of the week, and summarize the week that was in Star Wars. Simple idea, simple schlub to do it. But I thought that would be about specific things like weird lightsabers, Rick McCallum's gum-chomping prowess, and making 2 references to Shaxs and their bulbous butts in one video. But here we are, 3 weeks in, and the number one thing in Star Wars this week is kindness. Episode 4 of The Skeleton Crew is a wonderful and almost otherworldly experience set in a galaxy we all know and love so much that each and every one of us are the expert your friends bring in to win Star Wars trivia contests at bars. Yet it was wholly unique, unfamiliar even. And that allowed this particular Star Wars story to highlight one of the conflicts central to the core of Star Wars. A saga about wars and the stars has some pretty strong opinions about not fighting, or how to fight, or maybe when to fight, but its ultimate goal is to reach for peace. Empathy, compassion, understanding, connection, these are all part of that mission statement. But this week, kindness took center stage thanks to a big character growth moment for Neel and Hala Finley's character, Hana. The world may never be without conflict, and we're not even talking about war. It could be middle management taking out their frustration on the interns at your office, or me fighting against myself mentioning Shaxs for a third time. Conflict is a reality, and if Star Wars is truly a morality tale for the emerging adults of the world, and the adults that need to be reminded of a lot of the things they learned when they first fell in love with Star Wars, then Star Wars must teach that conflict is part of the journey. But how you meet that conflict is key, and often the strength you need to face that conflict is misunderstood. It's not about power, it's not about dominance, it's kindness, and the connection to those your kindness can protect, or should protect. Neel spends an entire episode failing to be a great warrior. He not only can't learn the skills needed, he doesn't want to, and he himself misconstrues that as weakness. Hana, a child raised in a perpetual cycle of war and death, sees it that way too. She knows no other form of strength. And when she takes over from her father, one day she's going to keep the fight going because that's just what you do. You fight. But in Neel, we have a hero who runs on empathy, a love of his people, and a willingness to love others that aren't initially his people. He's kind, and that's not weak. Cycles of war and strife are not easy to break. Often it's out of your hands. And putting a flower in a gun barrel isn't necessarily the answer. But it's a great scene in any movie set in 1967, written by someone who wasn't alive in 1967. And no, you Gen Zers, I wasn't alive then. But when Neel threw that rock at SM-33, it wasn't done out of anger. It wasn't about power or dominance. It was done out of a connection to those he is constantly treating with kindness. It was done to protect, not destroy. The episode was pretty direct in its themes. Kindness is not weakness. Caring comes from a position of strength. Wars not make one great. And all of those ideas are a constant key to the Star Wars story. I recall one kid saying, "Mom, you said the biggest problem in the universe is no one helps each other." Star Wars has been teaching kids these core tenets for years. But now, a show about kids is speaking plainly to the Star Wars adults who have forgotten those lessons. And Neel, kind, warm Neel, is the strong hero we needed this week. Slapball, Eopies, and kindness, number 3, 2, and 1 in this week's Star Wars Power Rankings. I'm Ken Napzok. See you next time, right here on ForceCenter.